everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Andrea, for those who are new, welcome. And for those who are returning viewers, welcome back. It's always very nice to have you guys here. Today, I'm nervous about doing this video and I've hardly even started. As you can tell from the title, we're talking about feeling like a fraud, or feeling like a failure, or feeling just generally like you're not good enough. This is something that I've been thinking about doing a video on for a while, because I've been feeling this way for a while. I think every grad student goes through this feeling at some point, if not battles it consistently throughout grad school. Everyone goes through this general feeling at some point in our lives. So I know it's not something that is just me, even though it feels that way when you're struggling with it. But this is also partly a response to a video that another YouTuber, Alice, who has the channel Alice Red, posted, and I'll try to remember to link that video below. Definitely check out her channel, check out that video, she's brilliant. And she had asked her viewers that if they had advice, to put it in the comment section. And I'm about 10 years older than Alice, so I've been through this multiple times and in many different situations. Okay, and my camera shut off, so that was weird. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. So I do have a list of things, so if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my phone to try to keep me on track. So, how to get through it, advice that I have, things that I've learned. I think to a certain extent you kind of have to fake it till you make it. Sometimes you do just have to kind of pretend. I go to conferences and, well, I say it like I go to a ton, I've only been to a few, which is another reason why I feel like I'm a bad academic. And I'll get to that in a second. But you know, I go to these conferences and everyone around me just seems so cool and so much smarter and so much more successful, and I have to kind of pretend like I belong there. I don't feel like I belong there, but I'm gonna pretend like I belong there. Whenever you're going into a situation where you feel like, I don't belong here, I'm a total fraud, they're gonna figure me out, sometimes just pretending like you belong there and kind of faking that confidence will then get the other people to treat you like you do belong there, and then that becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy. Whereas if you go into a situation thinking, I don't belong here, I'm a complete fraud, they're gonna figure me out, that adjusts your energy and people are going to react to that energy. So that's kind of the number one thing. Just fake it. And it does kind of work eventually. So that's kind of the level one thing that you can do. Another piece of advice I have is to surround yourself with people who support you, but also give you honest feedback. When I'm really struggling with a paper and feel like what I'm writing is absolute shit, like, and I'm really beating myself up and, you know, this paper is crap, I'm no good, I shouldn't be in grad school, why am I doing this? I have friends who can look at my work, who I sometimes feel are better scholars than me, and they can look at it and say, no, Andrea, you're doing this really well. Here's all the things that you are succeeding at in this paper or this conference presentation or whatever, and here's the few things that you might want to tweak that might make you feel more confident about this. So they're able to frame the criticism in a way that doesn't feel like criticism. Next thing, learn when to go along with your perfectionism and when to tell it to shove off. I will try to do a separate video on perfectionism, so I'm not going to dwell on this too long. Perfectionism is a curse. It's a double-edged sword. It can help drive you to be better, but it can also cripple you into feeling like you're really not good enough. You kind of have to learn when when to let it drive you forward and when to just ignore it. I have to finish my research papers. I can't just say, it's not perfect, I'm not going to finish this. I won't finish my degree if I do that. So learning when to kind of let it go and just see what my professors say about it. Let yourself feel good about your accomplishments. It's very easy for me to say, I'm a horrible academic. Well, there's a book on the shelf behind me that has a chapter that I wrote. And so I'm a published scholar. And I went through a lot to get that chapter published. And there were a lot of tears shed over that chapter. But I did it, and I accomplished it, and now I have the book on that shelf. I think sometimes reminding yourself of those things when you do something really cool. Learning how to accept compliments. And I know I struggle with this with my own work. When people compliment me, it's easy for me to try to deflect it. And I've had to really learn how to just say thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And move on. What I've noticed is that as I started accepting compliments more, I started believing them more. I started believing that my work really was good. The next thing, and this is the tough one. This is the really, really tough one. Don't compare yourself to other people. I feel like in grad school, it's really easy to compare yourself, and that will absolutely destroy you. So I have friends who have presented at dozens of conferences. Maybe not dozens, but it feels like that. I've only presented at 3, and 2 of them were really small regional conferences, which, again, there I go, kind of putting that down. Those are still conference presentations. They're still valid. They're still important. But it's easy for me to ignore the things I've done and ignore the things I've accomplished and compare myself to other people. And that's not good. And I know that they sometimes do the same thing to me. So like they might think, well, yeah, I've presented at conferences, but I haven't published anything yet. And I got really lucky that I had the publication, had the offer as I was going into my PhD program. So I came into the PhD program with a publication kind of already in progress. And most people don't get their first publication until their second or third or sometimes fourth year of their PhD. So like that's something that I've done well, but I think of the things that I haven't accomplished and focus more on those. And so I compare myself. So my next piece of advice, don't hold yourself to self-created timelines for goals. Learn to accept that life sometimes goes in directions we don't plan on. It's kind of like, I never thought I'd be 35 and still in school and still living on student loans and not married. When I was 18, 18-year-old me thought that by 35, my life would be completely different. It's not what I planned on, but it's not horrible either. And I think this is something that people younger than me struggle with, because they still have that idea of, well, by this age I should have done this, and by this age I should do this, and by this age this should have happened. Life doesn't work out that way. I hate to break it to you guys, but it really doesn't work that way. Sometimes things go wrong, and things get set back. Sometimes you set a goal for yourself that you will accomplish something by a certain age, but a family member passes away, or someone gets really sick, or you have a financial crisis. I was supposed to have a steady career by now, but I finished my first master's degree right as the economy was imploding around me, and I'd thought that I'd chosen the sensible thing of being a teacher, but suddenly teachers were being laid off left and right. So, that was something I had absolutely no control over. So to beat myself up about not having a steady career by 35, well, there were factors well beyond my control. Yes, I could have gone and gotten a job that I absolutely hated and that wasn't right for me, and I would have had a job. And I think this is something where in my personal life, this is also where I try not to compare myself. I have friends who have the steady career, they're married, they have their own house, they've got kids, and I don't have those things. And I have to remind myself, well, you've been pursuing other things, Andrea. You've been going in a different direction than those friends have. So yeah, you're going to be in a different place. I think you just kind of have to learn to set goals, but be flexible with them. It's okay to be working towards something. It's okay to say that by age 30, you want to have done certain things, but when you hit age 30 and you maybe haven't accomplished some of those things, be honest with yourself about why. And if you haven't accomplished those things because of legitimate extenuating circumstances, extend your deadline. There's nothing wrong with that. And then I guess the final thing is to remember to just breathe. And kind of going back to the first thing, fake it till you make it. Breathe and remember that you are good enough. Breathe and remember that you can do the things that you want to do. And one thing I haven't mentioned this video is just, I feel like this is going to be like an episode of Doctor Who. Everything's out of order. We've got a lot of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff going on in this video. I'm all over the place today. So part of feeling like a fraud and dealing with imposter syndrome is, part of that is your mental attitude. And when you are dealing with mental health issues, such as, in my case, anxiety and depression, those make the rest so much worse. Because even on a good day, when my depression and anxiety is under control, I can still struggle with not feeling good enough. On my bad days, when the depression isn't so under control, when the anxiety is starting to spiral a bit, it becomes even more difficult to manage these internal expectations for myself. Even people who seem totally together, who are maybe totally together, even people who don't struggle with anxiety, depression, or any other kind of mental health issue, can struggle with feeling good enough, can struggle with their self-esteem, can struggle with doubt. So for those of us who also have mental health issues as well, it does make it more difficult. And I feel that's where things like fake it till you make it, or putting up sticky notes around your room or around your flat telling you you are good enough, that you are not a fraud, that you are not a failure. Now I've got a low battery light. I think I've covered everything I wanted to say. And put something in the comments if I didn't expand on something enough. I can also do a follow-up to this video. Obviously this is something that I'm still dealing with. I don't have all the answers, but these are just a few things that I have started to do. And yeah. And Alice, I wish we could go out and get coffee, because I feel like I'd be way more coherent than this video is probably going to be, but this will have to do. But I think I have managed to cover everything that I would have filled up your comment section with. So I hope this helped, and I hope it helps some of anyone else who's watching this. anyone who's struggling with feeling like a fraud or a failure or just not good enough, you are not the only one to feel that way. So it's something in your head, and it's got nothing to do with you. You are wonderful. You are more than good enough, and you are absolutely not a fraud or a failure. So yeah. So thank you all for watching. I will try to be a bit more coherent in my next video. Thanks for giving me your time. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you. So high five. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go. Well, I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.